If you'd followed me for a while, you know that I'm big in home automation, and I've been into home automation since the X10 days, and that's been a while now. Well, I've decided that I'm going to take on the next phase of my home automation, which is adding automation to the shades on my first floor. And to get started, I'm going to do the 3 windows in the dining room or breakfast nook or the little tiny area where we eat, whatever you want to call it. And I've discovered a really cool company called Power Shades. Now, they offer all kinds of shades. They do single roll, double roll, so you can do two different pieces of material at the same time. They have a PoE version. They have like a standard battery operated version. And well, for me, I'm doing a retrofit, so I'm going to do kind of, I guess, their most basic version. So it's going to be 2 rolls of material, like one more transparent than the other, and then just a battery, right? And then it's controlled via remote control. So the first step is to get these things installed, and then after that, I'm going to come back and figure out how I do the automation so that I can have them open at sunrise and close at sunset and all of those things. And I wanted to get a little bit of help with this, so I found this really cool company here in Colorado that's going to help me do the install. And I think to get started, we'll hear a little bit from them, then we'll look at the shades themselves, and then we'll talk through what's involved in getting these things installed. And I think it's pretty cool because we're going to go from this, which you can see on the screen now, which are just some old kind of shades that, you have the little twisty bar and they have the slats and that kind of stuff. And then we're going to move to this fully automated version, or at least a version that can be fully automated. Today, they'll be done with a remote control, but it'll look like this. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump in and get started with this cool project.
Hi, Giles. Thanks. My name is Eric Nastry. I'm from IQ Home and Office, and we provide smart solutions for home and offices of all types. Well, it covers a whole gamut of technology and automation from the standpoint of you can have automated lighting, you can have automated shades, you can have automated thermostats, all sorts of different smart devices that can help life easy and more functional around your house. Today we're going to install Power Shades. They are battery operated shades. They last quite a long time, actually, 6 months before recharging at the minimum. And we're going to install dual shades, one with sheer and one with a blackout. The install is fairly simple. A couple brackets, a fascia, and you install the shades. The part that's a little more difficult is the programming and so forth within your network. But as far as with a remote, it's very simple to do.
Now we're going to take a look at the materials that were sent over. So first off, big thanks to Power Shades for sending these over. They came in 6 boxes of shades, and that's 1 box per roller, and it's 2 rollers per window, and then 1 box of additional components that included the remote control and the charger and that kind of stuff. The packing was really, really nice and really, really difficult to open. I had no concerns about the safety of these devices in transit. Really, really happy with that quality. And now let's take a look at exactly what all this stuff is and does.
This is a complete shade setup right here. So what we have here is you have your blackout shade, and then this is the sheer, and then this is your fascia. Then you have your 2 brackets, and then this is what the end, I don't know exactly what they call them, but it's the end of where the shade locks into it. And this acts like a ball bearing for it.
Okay.
So it rolls nice and simple. Whoop.
What's this for?
These are, if the shade extends past the wall, these are side plates that you can cut so that you can custom to the depth of the shade within the wall.
The first step of the project is going to be the demolition, right? You got to get the old stuff in before you can put the new stuff in. And this is going to vary depending on what type of shades you have installed. As you can see, mine have brackets on either side, which I think is going to be fairly typical. And I was able to use some needle nose pliers to open those up and then pull the old shade out. And they just slid right out. So hopefully yours will be as easy as these, because this is about as easy as it gets. From there, I was able to use a drill to pull out the screws that were holding these in. And mine, I think they just put them in the drywall. There was nothing back there at all that they hit that I can tell. It was not super solid at all. But once you get these brackets off, things are kind of a mess back there. So we went through and cleaned that up, pulled off all of the old paint to make it nice and flat. You can see where these things had been painted around in the past, and then we came back and used new paint to give it a pretty decent finish. Now, one thing that's really nice about the new shades that are going in is that they really do cover up pretty much where everything had been installed before. So, it's not such a super big deal for everything to look really perfect once you get done with your demo and your prep work. But, it is nice to have everything in pretty good shape for the new installation. Now it's time for the main event. That's right, the installation. And the installation is broken up into 3 different pieces. There are the brackets and all the little pieces with the bracket, the actual shades themselves, the rollers, and then the fascia. And they all ended up being way easier than I thought they were going to be. So you can see us putting in the bracket now. What we're not showing you is the prep work, and we did pre-drill the 2 holes that we used so that we're not splitting stuff up in those headers. And we also had to decide whether we were going to put the screws in to the top or if we were going to put the screws in to the side. Now the installer said that he felt that there was going to be material for sure up at the top for us to hit. He wasn't sure about the sides. He thought that might just be drywall. And if you think back to the prep work that I did and when we took out the old shades, I think he was right. I think it is just drywall for the most part on those sides. So there's not a lot for it to bite into. Whereas on the top, we definitely hit something. I don't know if it's 2x4s or 2x8s or whatever it is, but there was something for the screws to grip, and you do want the screws to grip something. None of this stuff is super heavy, but it's heavy enough that you don't want it to actually hit some type of anchoring material. So we got those 2 screws in, and then from there, it's time to put in the rollers right on those brackets. And this is a double bracket. I don't know exactly what a single bracket looks like, but this one is specifically designed to hold 2 of the different 2 different roller shades. I would assume that if you were just doing a single, maybe that bracket would be, kind of 25% of what you're seeing in the bracket here. And as you can see, we just put in the last little roller pieces, and then it's going to snap in the first actual shade. Now, the way I understand things is that you want the darker shade to be closer to the glass, so there's less chance for light to leak in. So the sheer shade will be closer to you, farther from the glass, and that allows for the light angles for more light to come in. So you definitely want that blackout shade to be closer to the glass. Now, as you can see, these things just snap in. It's super easy, and then the fascia is even easier than that. It just kind of clips in on the top and then folds down. The whole time to do the install was probably somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes for each unit.
Okay, this is the 16-channel remote from PowerShades. It comes with a magnetic back and a mount. And this is what's going to control all the 3 shades that we installed. The interface looks like so. Yeah, so setting up is fairly simple. You have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 16, correct? And then what you do is, let's say we're going to start here. We're going to call this the first shade, second, and third. Then you come over here to I'm going to start with the back. There's a button here that you have to hold down for about 5 seconds, and it jogs like so. And as soon as it jogs, to get it to work with you just hold the middle button. Oh, you can't see it with this one. But it now knows, and then you hit both the stop and the up button, and then you set the top by holding it and see how it jogs up. So I'm going to move them up just to go below there, about there. And then to set it, you hit the top and the middle. And then you go down and you set the bottom. And then when you get to the bottom, you just hit the stop where you want to set it, which would be, are you good with that?
You're the pro, whatever you think is good. Looks fine to me.
Oh, that's all personal preference. But that's good for most. So let's go with that. You can always reset it when you want. And then you hit the middle and the bottom button and it'll jog again. So now it's set. Now you set your limits. You set the bottom and the top limits. When you hit up and down on the remote, that's where it's going to stop and stop.
So to select this particular window, you use the left and right button to go to window number 1?
Correct.
And
1
then
and
you
2.
just hit up or down to open or close.
Exactly. So if I hit 1 and then I hit the down button, it's just going to come down. And if I want to stop it right there, I just hit the stop button.
Perfect.
Okay? And then if I hit it and don't hit the stop, it'll just go to where I set the limit.
So how cool is that? I mean, that install ended up being so much easier than I ever imagined that it would be. You know, I think that most of us that are fairly handy with tools can absolutely kind of do this install, you know, soup to nuts without any assistance. Now, it was nice because I'm not super handy to have pro help here, particularly for the programming at the end. But I really love the way that that the install turned out. Now, as you can see, I'm running this in the background, so you can see everything kind of going up and down and what it looks like as a final installation. Now, it's not done because while I do have the remote working, I don't have automation in place yet. And for this model, meaning the model that uses the remote control, I have to find a bridge to a controller and install that and configure that. And so that's going to be in the next video for the automation of these shades, which I'm really excited to get to. But you know, you can't do much until you get the shades installed, and that's what I've done here, along with a little bit of external, or maybe a lot of external assistance. I absolutely love the look. I love the way that they turned out, and we've been using these for a while now with the remote control, and they have been absolutely flawless. The change that they've made in the room is night and day, and we love the functionality and the aesthetic of the power shades. Well, thank you so much for watching. You know, if you want to see part 2, make sure you like and subscribe, hit the buttons, do all that stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next video.